Welcome to Bikers and Backroads, a podcast about all things Harley Davidson. We're your hosts, Jason and the Big Z, so sit back and join us as we go into this week's episode of Bikers and Backroads. All right, guys, thanks for joining us again and downloading the most recent episode of Bikers and Backroads. Whether you're new to Harley Davidson, you're an old head vet, or you're just thinking about getting a new bike, we think we have something for you. You found us. This is Bikers and Backroads, and we love to talk about motorcycling, specifically Harley Davidson as the brand. That seems to be where our passion lies, and we do it because it allows us to spend time together, and also we just like to share experience with you guys. So, thanks for joining us. If you're looking at us, of course, you found us on our YouTube channel, Bikers and Backroads. We're on all sorts of social media. We're at Instagram and on TikTok at Bikers and Backroads. We're on X at BNB_pod, and you can find us on the audio side of podcasts anywhere you download your music platforms, such as iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, and that nature. So with that housekeeping stuff done and the intro to who we are, what's going on, brother?
Not much. Man, if you're from around where we've been at, it's been cold. Then we finally got a couple days of some warm weather. And of course, I was working out of town as the warmer weather was starting, so it was getting me excited. And as always, it never fails. You get off work, and it's rained all weekend here. Although it's been in the 40s and 50s, it's been pouring the rain. So
we're filming this on Sunday before he shoves off out of town. Yesterday was, of course, today is February 15th. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, so being the young man that he is, he had some Valentine plans. We had some family dinner. We had just some time hanging out. It was the nicer of the days of the weekend yesterday.
Yeah.
In the 50s. So we got some stuff done, and that's the whole topic of today's episode. It's going to drive most of our segments as we talk about mod and install and just what we did. We're going to wrap a few of our segments up into that because we got into it because we had time. And there is a video dropping on the YouTube side to watch what we were talking about. And of course, we're just talking about we installed the Sawicki Speed mid-length Dyna exhaust pipe on 2014 Low Rider. As my bike, it's pretty much stock from the get-go, but she's not stock anymore. And that installation went very easy.
Yeah.
Sawicki has great resources. You can get YouTube videos. There's QR codes on their website that take you to things. We've done your bike. It was a lot of the same thing as the SP concept. The biggest thing was just it seems daunting a little bit when you don't have a lift or things like that. We were doing garage floor yoga. We didn't even put it up on
a bike stand.
A stand or a jack. That's what I'm trying to say. But so we get it out and we're out in the garage. And my biggest thing is on a safety tip, I have a couple.
Yeah.
And I think this made the easiest thing to do. And I'm a very planned. I don't try to rush things when we're doing things. So I got up, Xander was gone, we're milling around the house, and I have about 3 or 4 hours before people are showing up for dinner at our house. And I'm like, I'm going to tackle this exhaust. So I open up the box, I see what all the hardware entails there, I see where the bracketry is. The first thing you got to do is get the old one off.
Yeah.
So my safety tips are just take your time. Lay out your parts, lay out your tools, take your time, don't be in a rush. We even filmed some of this, and I didn't film a whole install video because there's 1,000 of those on the internet. We just put out some quick content. I started this and you weren't here. But by the time you showed up, I had my exhaust was off. Yeah, I had just taken everything off. So I used the extra set of hands to help us get the new one on. And then for the most part, the hardest part of that whole thing was getting the gaskets out of the heads. Those, those things were like welded in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had to dig those out with a pick, and you're being careful not to scar the head or anything like that. But then on the Sawicki, you use your stock flanges and snap ring, and man, we even had tools to put those on, the snap ring pliers, and it took a holder.
And prying on us with a screwdriver, because you're trying to, one, you've got to stretch it far enough to get out, and then two, you're trying not to stretch it far enough to break it, and then by the time you get it on, so one of them we didn't have to, but the first one we didn't have to do this, but the second one we had to take our hands and try to, close it back in together itself to get tight enough. So
it has to slip inside the flange as it locks down. So when it heats up and cools down as the motor runs, and you've got everything snugged up, that's going to be okay. So getting that stuff on, and then taking time. Anti-season head bolts, Loctiting the bolts that need to be Loctited. I had two new bolts that had to go into where the transmission bolts are that go into the frame to hang a new bracket. But Loctite those. Make sure everything's snug. Leave everything loose until you get it into where you want it, and then start tightening it down. Be careful with the O2 sensors. We were both surprised that I had to use the reducers. I thought my O2 sensors
were
on the model of my bike was bigger, but your anti-season, the threads into the reducer, and you're locking the reducer down and making sure everything's tight. You just don't want an air leak or anything like that. But the biggest thing to me is my bike has sat on a tender the whole time, all winter. We go to start it up for the cold start of the stock exhaust sound, and my battery won't crank. I had to use a jump box to start my bike. And I mean, we talk about this.
It's been on a tender all winter.
We talk about maintaining things like that. And so we use the tender. Everything's ready. We go over, I pull the seat. I'm ready to do my cold start. I'm making sure I'm finding where the O2 sensors are. And I'm like, we better do a cold start so I can have a comparison sound. And I hit the button, and it just drags a little bit, and then it won't turn it over. And we keep a jump box, put the jump box on it. It starts right up. And then we didn't have to have the jump box anymore.
No.
But, I mean, this thing has been maintained. So, I mean, I'm probably looking at maybe having to do a battery. So it's a terrible way to find out you're going to have a battery maybe for riding season. But, again, we've done all that maintenance. Now that's on. We're ready to do oil changes, because I did get out and ride it yesterday just around the neighborhood to hear the sound, and go back and check that video out. It's pretty cool. It's not a waste of your time. It's like it might be 5 or 6 minutes long, just us working in the garage. But I mean, we talk about maintenance and we talk about safety, and in that situation, we have done everything right to maintain that battery. But the cold weather zaps it, sitting there. That answers my own question from last week. Is it okay just to start your bike and let it warm up? I've never had that issue on things that I'll start from time to time and let them run, that I have battery issues like that. So we've put on your SP concept, and now we've put on my Sawicki. What did you see for a major difference, or for an install issue or anything like that?
No install issues, and trying to think of just if there was really any main differences, and there wasn't. Ours both bend out and around the front towards the bike. Even the rear cylinder comes out. For some reason, I don't remember having to necessarily, yours you had to put on and curl it. Like, it might be a tighter fitting type thing. Like, you had to put it on upside down and literally bend it around the motor to get it up in there. I want to think I don't remember having to do that with mine. Major difference? No. And I'd say there are more pipes that have little things like that than not. One major difference really was, I think your stock pipe feels much, much heavier. And it was because yours had a cat. Yours has a catalytic converter. My stock pipe didn't, but that Sawicki is just way lighter for sure. And I think that the look and the feel is better on that Sawicki. It almost looked like it was maybe a little bit better quality than the stock exhaust for sure. But big differences between putting mine on against yours, there was none. The biggest difference was where your bracket is on into that transmission. Mine was back on the swing arm like normal.
I think your bracket had 3, or my bracket was the 2 middle bottom trannies.
Yeah.
And I think yours was like the bottom corner, because we had to have one really long bolt on yours and one was shorter. Both of mine were the same. So I know that's just design companies, and you run SP Concept. We're not. This is not a sponsored video. No. I paid every penny for that Sawicki. You paid every penny for your SP Concept. And part of this channel is we're probably going to run different stuff, so we have stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
One thing I really liked compared to my stock, I thought the O2 sensors were in a much better place. My front head pipe, the O2 sensor seems to be a little higher up towards like where the gas tank or the head would be. And it just made the routing of the O2 sensor wire over to the plug a little cleaner. I mean, I can even probably go in there and clean it up and put some zip ties. But the back head, we ended up relocating a lot of that wire up underneath the seat. Even you were commenting, you're like, dude, we probably need to zip tie this. There's a lot more up here because on the stock pipe, it just seemed like it was down towards the bottom end of the motor, the casting or the case, a little lower. Angle wasn't tight. No wires are pulled tight. It fits really good. And again, like I said, this is a 100% purchase thing. I wasn't really expecting it to go that shiny gold.
Yeah.
I knew the raw ones would gold up and color up, but I had bought the polished because that's kind of who I am. I wanted that to look, and even you, while we put it on, you're like, this is so you, because it still looks factory-esque.
Yeah.
It's not screaming, but if it colors in, I'm cool with that. That is great.
Yeah.
But I mean, we rode it around the neighborhood. Like I took a lap and you took a lap, and it was even. It had heated up very even. That is encouraging to me that everything's snug and tight, and we're not getting lost gas or heat or anything like that. It has a really deep. It opened it up. It sounds amazing, and you can feel it in the seat. Like when you get on it, it feels like it's got a little more throat on the bottom end and a little more torque. And we hop back and forth on bikes, so not a lot, but when we pulled it out, I was like, here, ride this and tell me what you think. And you were like, I can really feel it when you get into second gear. Your biggest thing on my bike is always, mine has double front discs and you have single front disc brakes, and you're like, your brakes get me every time how sensitive they are. So, but that's just the one thing. But again, we took our time. We didn't lose parts. We didn't have things. You know how I work. We put things back as they go. We wipe things off. Paper towels are gloves and paper towels. I mean, that's probably 2 of the most important tools in my shop right now, or what we use in our shop. We had all the tools we needed. You have to have a wobble head extension to get to those. If not, you're going to be putting some unnecessary pressure on some bolts. But for the most part, it was very straightforward, 1/2 inch, 9/16 to get the stock off. That's all it was. 1/2 inch to put everything back on.
Yeah.
So,
dude, the biggest problem we had was when we were trying to put the O2 sensors into the new pipe, where you had the reducers, it was like the threads were super tight. Come to find out, I knew for a fact we weren't cross-threading them. It was just working it. It would get it to where it was tight and then work it back and forth, and it would free spin in, probably burrs on those threads or something of that nature. But you clean it out, and that was the only thing that ever gave us a fit. I mean,
And you have the same affinity of using crescent wrenches or adjustable wrenches that I do.
Yeah.
I had already threaded the O2 sensor into the reducer.
Yeah.
I wish I wouldn't have done it in that order, but it allowed me to do that and set the O2 sensors away.
Yeah.
If not, then I could have just did an open end wrench or a ratcheting wrench and just tightened those in the bungs. And then we could have threaded. It could have been either way. But again, it wasn't hard. It wasn't a 2-hour job. We didn't have any issues that, it was very smooth. Like I said, the flanges, and that's a very snug fit. It has to be. And I could have ordered new flanges and new snap rings. But Sawicki says you can use your stock ones. I took the time. I cleaned up the new ones with the Scotch Brite and some cleaner.
Yeah, and
we wiped everything down, and we had no issues. One thing, I was surprised, all the hardware. The night before, I knew we were going to do this. I had went out and put penetrating oil on my head bolts, and everywhere we needed to take a bolt loose, I had sprayed that night and let it just sit. And when I went out to do that Saturday morning, like the minimum, just boom, everything came loose. I wasn't afraid. Like we were breaking things. Lord knows you don't want to bust a head bolt while you're trying to put on exhaust, and then you got to load your bike and take it to the shop or find somebody that can get that out for you, because that's way above my pay grade of mechanical abilities. But so far, I mean, we've had it on 24 hours. Yeah. We've looked at it a lot and listened to it a bunch.
Yeah.
But so far, so good. I'm very well impressed with the quality. I had showed a picture, and guys from Rolling Throttle are a vendor. They sell Sawicki, and Drew was like, "Hey man, I want to see that pipe in person because I just want to make sure all those welds are clean." And he's like, we represent that company. One, I want to make sure that that's a good product, and I'm not pushing people to it. He's like, I saw it in polished, and I was just wondering what you thought of the welds. Well, I'm no welder, but everything I know about welding, everything was stacked clean. There was no slag. There was nothing rough. Everything had been polished down pretty smooth. Nothing loose, nothing rattly, everything quick. Attention to detail, the rubber S on the springs.
Yeah.
Just so that doesn't ting and rattle. I mean, that's attention to detail. Yours has regular pull springs, and I've never heard yours. No. But even you were like, dude, they even put a rubber cushion in your springs, pulling the collector or the muffler to the head pipes. So, this attention to detail, everything was good. Give us some time to run it. Right now, my initial review is I don't think you can go wrong. I'm very pleased with it. Packaging was great. Everything was great. Give us some time and we'll do a review on this for everybody. So today is sad. I was just watching this on TV before we came up. It's the 25th anniversary it's the 25 years since Dale Earnhardt Sr. died at the Daytona 500. And we're talking about Daytona Bike Week coming up. And today is the Daytona 500. Daytona 500 in 2001 was on February 18th. That's the day Dale Earnhardt Sr. passed away. But I just saw that because, we're race people. I'm going to watch the Daytona 500. I think that's the best Sunday afternoon nap of the year is about the 100th lap on till you get to about 20 to go in the Daytona 500. That's the best nap you can get. So, Daytona 500 kicks off race weeks down in Daytona. Bikes are going to be heading in there anytime middle of this week to the end of next week.
Probably even today.
Well, people that are wanting to go down early and stuff can get down there. And I'm sure, you're not going to be planning to go see any events or anything because the speedway is going to be full with racing like this and things of that nature. And some people are starting to put out some other YouTube videos of must-see things at Daytona Bike Week. I've never been. Yeah. I don't have anything to tell you. What I know is what Harley's putting out. You're going to have things at the Speedway. You're going to have things at Teddy Morse Destination Daytona. You've always got stuff going on Main Street. Wherever you want to find it, you can. Everybody I know that's ever been says you got to ride the Ormond Beach Loop. because you get to see some of A1A on the coast, and then it takes you over into some of the, I guess it's like state park areas that have all the, live oaks with the moss and stuff like that. But those are cool places. We drove all those last year when we were down there for the cheer thing that we'll go to in April with the daughter. And, but yeah, so what do you want to see? You're going to be perusing in the hotel. What are you looking forward to see over the next little bit as people are getting prepared for Daytona? I mean, King of Baggers is something we like. So what's stoking you? What do you want to see?
Definitely wanting to know what's up with the King of Baggers, the Harley race team, and if there is and what changes there is going to be. And
that announcement will be the 20th.
Yeah. And just on top of that, Daytona, I'm sure we're going to see some aftermarket parts be revealed to the market this week. So trying to, really look into seeing what's that going to be and everything. And then on top of that, watching the content that comes from it. That's always fun. There's always interesting videos that pop up about that. You're going to see people getting first rides on some bikes and seeing some cool custom things. And there's always going to be just something that happens during Daytona. So we'll be watching all of that, looking into everything and going on from there.
If you're going to be down there, I would take a test ride on a bike I'd never thought I'd want to ride.
Me too.
I mean, we're Harley guys. I mean, would I throw a leg over an Indian Challenger? Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see what the hype is. Mm-hmm. Would I throw my leg over a BMW 1600K bagger? Heck yeah. Or maybe an RR.
Yeah. You never know what they're going to offer.
A BMW RR, the sport bike.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been on a sport bike. I mean, to do a demo ride for a few miles, I might just jump on it and do it. Am I going to come home and buy one? No. But like you said, this will be, now that everybody has revealed their 2016 bike lineup.
They're 2026.
2020. Oh, Lord. 2016. I'm a decade behind. 2026 bike lineups, you're going to see vendors listing what they have available for 2026s. Mm-hmm. I'm sure the Harley guys that are buying, and I mean, I'm watching some dealers, and the dealers around us, I haven't seen a bunch of 2026 posts, but I don't know that there's a 2025 left on the floor down there at Black Sheep. Yeah. I mean, they're selling used bikes. They're selling their old inventory.
They're selling other stores.
That's great. I mean, because we're going to talk about something later down in here that is a big deal, and inventory is a problem. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things you're going to see Harley Davidson clear up. Like I said, I've heard from many people that say if you want to walk into a dealership and just buy a bike off the showroom floor, you better do so in 2026 because some things could be changing. But I think you're going to get down there. I mean, wheels, tires, grips, bag, organizers, things like that people are looking to get. Windshields, bars, things you can do installs down there. I mean, there's companies that are allowing you to book install times while you're down there in Daytona already. Some people are already saying, hey guys, thanks, but we're full for our installs at Daytona. I'm sure they'll probably book some free time for people that walk up. Mm-hmm. But you got to take care of the person right in front of you in case that guy that has an appointment doesn't show, right? So it's just business. But I'm excited to see some of this content. Yeah, you're going to see people put out what Main Street looks like and, bar crawls and that type of stuff. But it'll be interesting to see what some of the people put out that are down there as far as aftermarket driving.
The actual bike part of it. Yeah.
I mean, chance to go down there and throw your leg over a Super Cruiser?
Dude, I would do it in a heartbeat, which is going to roll me into my next point I want to talk about is starting to see some of the Instagrams and TikToks rolling in of the Super Cruiser being delivered to actual individuals, not just, a few weeks ago we said the Super Cruisers are starting to be delivered, like people were taking deliverance of them. Well, that was some dealerships, a few dealers we had seen, or so they're starting to get them and waiting for the guys who have bought them or their purchasers to come and get them. We're starting to see some videos of people who pre-ordered them way back in 2023, taking deliverance of them. They're picking them up. They're sitting them in their garages, their shops, and they finally have got them home. So that's something that I'm going to be looking forward to seeing in the wild. I would love to come across somebody with one and talk to them about it, what their thoughts are, because I know what I think about them, but I've yet to sit or hear one in person. So
I saw somebody post that they're getting ready they had theirs delivered, and they were going to do a trip. They're riding to an event, like it may be even Daytona, but it was going to be 1,100 miles. And it was like our first 1,100 mile trek on the Super Cruiser with a full review, what we think, what we're going to change. You buy that bike and there's still things you're going to do to make it your own. I mean, I had a Buell. I did things to it. But that was before I knew a whole lot about motorcycles. I didn't know that you needed to change the seat, or you could mess with your bars and get a riser to get them up. Because even when I was a younger man and had my Buell, there were things about it that the position was a great motorcycle. I'm not slamming it at all. But you'd ride for a while and there would be little things like your fingers and hands would tingle just from the bars. Changing that seat would have been different for me, and adjusting that. Aftermarket on the Buell back then wasn't near as inclusive as it is now, that they've continued to still make their hammer bikes like that, their sport bikes and things.
1190 SX.
There are a lot of companies that build stuff for them, and definitely getting Roland Sands involved in developing this Super Cruiser. PM's going to make.
I'm sure that's the brand new bike to the lineup. It's probably going to have the strongest aftermarket.
Yeah. Well,
support.
I mean, it's got tons of stock. I mean, what are you going to need to do? You got dual disc Brembos up front. I mean, there's a lot of things you're going to not have to deal with. People will put an exhaust on it. I mean, you've got rear set pegs almost. They probably are more rear set than even mids. But my stock Buell rear sets were very comfortable back in the day. And you can play around with that stuff. But, I mean, handlebars, grips, things of that nature. I know they make a platform that they can even have some storage. They're set up where they could run some bags. That was when they were releasing them. That was even part of that things would come out. But, there's a lot of companies that can support that now and help it to move forward. So, like you said, you're all in on the Buell Super Cruiser. I, too, think it would be a great bike. It would be awesome to see some people that are throwing a leg over that thing down at Daytona and getting to experience it. Now that some of the pre-ordered ones from a couple years ago are ending up in homes.
Yeah.
And not just guys like Kaplan, who are the country's largest Buell dealer, getting their first one.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't want to. They've been waiting on that bike. They're probably not putting a for sale sign on it. That might be going in their personal collection
museum,
or over in the museum side. And I don't hate on that at all. But that's why they took pre-orders. And they fill all those pre-orders, and you start to see 1,000 to 1,500 of them or even more start rolling out. Then you'll know what they have. Is this a bike they keep producing? Do they move on? What's their feedback and things of that nature? So now we're going to just get into some Harley corporate things, and I think this is going to drive a little conversation. So with that being said, we'll roll in here to the last segment. So Harley Davidson released their sales from the fourth quarter of 2025, and as assumed, their sales are down.
Yeah.
But everything you look at digging into this, I've seen a couple other YouTube guys talk about it. I've read some reports that have come out, articles-wise, is that some of this, I think, is strategic. Because if we're talking about the new CEO trying to help dealers, trying to help riders, what can we do? If capitalism is a supply and demand thing, we can't have dealerships sitting on a bunch of inventory that there's not a demand for. But now we've got oversupply. And the only thing you can do there to affect that is drop your prices ridiculously or cut back your supply. So, what are your thoughts on that, man? I mean, again, you come from the age where everything is available. If you want a new car in this color and they don't have it on this lot, you go over to this lot. Ordering things and waiting for things is not something that is a big deal. The biggest thing is waiting 2 or 3 days for it to show up if you order it online. If I'm Artie Stars and I say, man, we've got a 12 to 17% loss in the fourth quarter, I think that's creative accounting. If I didn't send dealers, if I've held back some inventory, they're not going to sell as much. Or if they sell already what's in their own dealer inventory, the motor company already accounts for that as, okay, that's already owned by the dealer. We've already sold that bike, to the dealer. It's in the dealer's franchise. The dealer's selling those bikes. But even here, I mean, we're February and we're watching the last of the 2025s go across the floor at our local dealership. You have a buddy that his parents just upgraded their bike and towards the end of last year, and they just left it up there because they took advantage of one of these Harley deals, an engine upgrade, all these mods they had put on it. Plus, they'll store it for free for him if he bought it there to give them more time to work on it, and he don't have to go haul it home in the snow.
No.
So creative accounting is a lot of this. A staggering part of this to me, 63% of Harley Davidson's business, North America. It's crazy, huh? I guess South America showed a 10% increase in sales, but it's like so low in the percentage of people that are Harley like an extra 10 to 15 bikes sold can account for that. Like crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What are your thoughts? I mean, we talk about sales, we talk about profits, we talk about you can't have a company that's losing money. They still make money. It's creative. Did they make as much? No. Did we make as much money as they want per share for shareholders? No. But you're in the middle of a realignment. What's some balance things you think coming out of this, and what's more important for you? What do you think in dealing with this that the Harley Davidson brand you're used to moving forward? What does that look like when we're talking sales numbers? This could be calculated. Dealers. What's up? I mean. I'm not asking you to be a finance major. Yeah. I'm just saying, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, if it's like you were talking about, not necessarily fabricated or tweaked like accounting
it's
or
just
whatnot.
Creative numbers recording. Yeah, it is.
Creative numbers recording. If that's not necessarily, if that's where they're considering it, the sales are down and they really aren't or something, like if that was meant to have happened, like they did it strategically, it doesn't really worry me then that the sales being down. But at the same time, you're going to have your up years and down years.
If I'm Harley Davidson new CEO and I'm sitting on a bunch of touring bike frames in Pennsylvania, in York.
Yeah.
And I'm a new CEO, and I know 2026 the touring bikes aren't going to change. The CVO is going to change. You're now going to get a Street Glide CVO. You're going to put a limited pack on them. But if I've got the frames already made and the tins already made for the regular Road Glide and Street Glide, I might not stamp them as 2025 VIN numbers. I might stamp them and get ready to roll them out in 2026, right?
Yeah, that's right. And then
the holdover bikes, I think, are a way you can get creative with whether you're saying, oh, we didn't sell as much, or, okay.
Yeah.
If we average selling 200,000 units of a bike a year, and you've sold 180,000 by November, but you're going to release them as 2026s the 1st of November, I'm probably not listing them as 25s anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going to be changing that model year is now going to be the 2026. I know they do it on the quarter, but say people waited to get through Christmas and rolled in January, and now the 1st of January through February, we've seen, what
Way
if we
more
see
bikes.
Q?
Yeah.
What if Q1 is
Yeah, that's kind of what my thought process was, is like fourth quarter sales being down anyway would never, personally, I would never see that as odd anyway, because you've got a lot of, that's your holiday times, so people realize their personal finances get pushed back because they're going to be looking into the time of giving for other people and family. So, hey, yeah, I'm ready for it, but I might have to push this back now. So that is never would have bothered me. But I'm with you though. It was also, it's like, the frame's not changing. All that's going to be different is paint colors. Why do you
paint them in house?
Yeah. Or you can go ahead and stamp them with your 2025s. Get rid of all the extra paint you had from 2025 colors and go ahead and finish them up. And then you say the sales are down, but are they really down? And then it's selling those bikes at a discount because it's, hey, we got 2025 holdovers, when really the discount might not even be hurting you because you're still making a profit off of it.
I think we're seeing as many bikes as rolled out of down at Black Sheep where we are.
Yeah.
As many bikes as I've seen roll out of there, the 2025s, and it's the road glide and street glides we've went and looked at and sat on and talked about. As many of those as sold the past 3 weeks, they have to be getting good deals on those. They have had to have went in either
because during the summer peak of riding season,
Yeah.
we went and saw the same bike four weeks in a row.
That could be
and
that bike could have been sitting there for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
One, price has had to been great. 2, people have went in there to see 2026s and realized, hey, on my base touring bike, nothing's changed except some paint. And, I can live with this black rather than the new black.
Yeah.
I can live with this red rather than the new red. If you're a base color guy or gal, buying a 2025 made a lot of sense. But as much as people are buying those, I would have to believe there is some significant financial movement on selling those. That being said, I don't think in a country where half your riders have a season where they can't ride, Q4 sales don't move the needle for me.
No.
Now, I don't own a business where I sell a bunch of stuff. Like I said, we pay for everything we buy. I'm not in the biggest market to buy a motorcycle October, November, December. I never am sitting on money going, I'm going to go buy a new bike. I bought my used bike in September.
Yeah.
That's still Q3. But I still had 4 months to ride, 3 months to ride. So that doesn't scare me. Again, one, your production switching over, your production lines. And then it's just not a time of the year where, European, if your European market's down and stuff like that, I'm sure weather's terrible over there too. And probably in areas where our seasons are flipped, if we're still a larger percentage in North America than anywhere else, we're going to hammer that a little bit.
Yeah.
So, if you're talking anywhere from, north of, Kentucky around here, straight across the country, we all have weather issues where we don't ride for at least weeks at a time. Not everybody lives in Texas and Florida and can ride all the time. But those that can, awesome. But I also don't know that those are the guys that are buying bikes every year or two. They live in climates that stuff doesn't get really worn out too bad other than sun faded.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't ride and worry about salt on the roads, getting, crusting up some parts and things like that. I saw Doc Harley bought a new Harley Davidson. I'm waiting to see it. It's only on his members side right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, he went to get the bike. There's so much snow in the background in Connecticut. It's sad, but excited for you to get a new bike, Doc. But I mean, it's hard to go in and think about getting a new Harley, and you go out and you need your snow shovel just to get to your car. But I mean, that's where some people live, and that's where a lot of people live. Yeah. And he might be a warrior and ride in that, man. I know I'm pretty soft because I grew up going to and when I was in junior high school, our guidance counselor he had 3 BMW motorcycles and an old truck that hardly ever ran. And he rode to work every day. Like snow, rain, bitter cold. Shout out Joe Berta, Mr. Berta, rest in peace. Mr. Berta rode that motorcycle. He would come in and his face would be so red. He had the first modular helmet I ever saw. I didn't know what in the world it was. It was a Nolan back in the day. And he's a BMW adventure bike rider. And he would go cross country when it was like nobody around here was doing that.
Yeah.
And he had BMWs. That was his motorcycle of choice. That's all he wanted to ride. And man, he rode those things. And he would ride. I mean, our janitors would go out and salt and scrape one parking lot space in our teacher's parking lot because they knew he was riding a motorcycle to work that day. He would leave sometimes and put a tarp over his parking spot so that it couldn't freeze. And he'd just pull up and roll that tarp back and park his bike. And then when he went to leave that evening, he'd pull that tarp down and put rock. It was crazy what things he used to do. But I know he rode in weather that there's no way I wouldn't even think about pulling my bike out and riding in. And I mean, we're probably soft to that. But anyway, Q4 sales. They have to be, you got to realize, I mean, heck, your company's based in an area that shuts down in the winter, really. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that there's a lot of riding in Milwaukee during the winter.
There's a lot of snow on the ground.
Unless they do a whole lot better at keeping it off the roads. And I mean, there's always going to be people that ride in the cold. And you see people that ride across country in the summer and they'll go up into the Pacific Northwest and they'll be riding and they get caught in like a random blizzard. Yeah. I'm like, whoo, I don't know about that for me. I don't know if I'd have been prepared for that. But the sales, you're talking about a company that still makes billions of dollars a year. And I think when you're dealing with that much money, and this is still just a niche market, not everybody needs a motorcycle, not everybody's going to ride a motorcycle, but it is a brand. That is a very successful brand, and there's going to continue to be growth and things like that. But when you are that type of brand and you do this, you have to realize that some things are not always going to look the greatest on your balance sheet. Here's the deal. If you sell a record number of motorcycles this year, I mean, unless the population has a spike and you get this many new people buying bikes that see what everybody bought and want a new one next year, that trend doesn't replicate every year. You know, if you were new to the market and you made 1,000 motorcycles and you sold all 1,000, and next year you made 1,500 and sold all 1,500, you're growing into a point where you saturate the market. The guys that are comfortable riding their 10-year-old Harley versus the guy that wants a new Harley every 2 to 3 years, we probably balance a lot of that out. There's guys buying bikes every 4 to 5 years. If something happens in that guy's life and pushes that back a year, he's not out anything. Maybe he had a heart attack or had surgery or something. But you look at the statistical backbone of Harley Davidson's company, I mean, you're looking at 35 and older crowd, 40 and older crowd. I mean, you're probably safer marketing more to the 50s to 65-year-old guy. If you want to pick a 15 to 20-year window, those guys just ride, and they ride, and they ride, and they ride, and they're not going to quit riding. They're going to buy bikes when they need them, or when you put something out there they really just think that they want. But a guy that, if you only have a chance and you're in your world and you can only ride on Saturdays and Sundays, great, ride on Saturdays and Sundays. But your bike's probably going to last a long time.
Yeah.
Unless you just really I want a new bike that sits in my garage 5 days a week.
Yeah.
That being said, I feel like I'm talking this to death, but I just want to know, in your mind, do you have any fear of solvency in the brand?
No,
do you think Harley
absolutely
Davidson's
not. I don't think Harley's going anywhere. I think they're going to grow much bigger. So, I don't foresee anything.
You're not the 21-year-old guy that's thinking you're going to have to find a new brand of motorcycle in the next few years. And if you found one on your own, fine. If you find another brand you enjoy riding, great.
Yeah.
But I don't think that saying you've a 12% loss of sale or a 17% loss of sale, I don't think anybody's running for the hills like, oh no, we're failing. I think you've got some strategy there. Yeah. You've got a new CEO that's wanting to put his thumbprint on it. You got a new CEO that's wanting input from people that know the brand and that the brand loves them. And it's the family. It's the Davidsons. It's the grandkids. It's priming this company for growth to sustain another generation of a Davidson or a Harley through marriage, through grandkids. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
And we'll see. You got Indian's new CEO, and they're talking, and the interview with him, and he had years and years, 20-some plus years at Harley Davidson. And the interview with him is, we're a motorcycle company that's been around since 1901. No, they haven't. They've closed multiple times in there. And I'm not bashing Indian, so don't get on here. And if you want to have that debate, we can. But you don't have to bash me. Indian closed its factory a few times. Now, their brand name was purchased by some individuals and some companies to try to revitalize it over times. But there have been windows of time that an Indian motorcycle was not produced. And definitely not massively produced for sale. So, granted, I want Indian to survive. I hope that guy gets some great ideas. But, I wouldn't be surprised if they go through some of the same growing pains as Harley Davidson has. You may be seeing some things on rewind. The new CEO comes out and says, if you're looking for a beginner starter motorcycle, we're not your company. Harley did the same thing now, and now you're talking about reintroducing a Sprint to get people back on a Harley. I don't know that you have that many brand loyalists that you can puff yourself up and just do that. But again, I'm not running a multi-billion-dollar company. I do this for a living. Nobody's paying us to do this at all.
No.
We're just chatting and talking. But I don't think always that sales numbers and financial reports paint the entire picture of the brand or paint the picture of what's going on. I figure first and second quarter of this year will be huge with the new trikes, with some of the new paint jobs, some of the CVOs that are doing awesome. The limiteds coming back are going to. There's a lot of guys who've been on limiteds for years, and they were headstrong. They weren't buying a new Harley until the limited came back.
Yeah,
they've been crying for a limited. I work in the public, and I have 3 people that have told me, I'm glad they're bringing a limited back. I'll finally get a new bike, because they weren't going to part with their, mid-teens limited. They hadn't been on a bike that beat it yet.
Yeah.
But they wanted to go see the new limiteds because they knew how they rode. It met all their needs. That's what they wanted. So, that being said, we'll be finishing up this week. We've kind of talked a couple topics to death. Next week, what we got? Give me something.
Let's do another. We'll bring it back another top 5.
Top 5. Top 5 parts that are still worth buying on your motorcycle. New bikes are out, and there's a lot of things that you can live with now stock.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think we'll look at that. Top if you're talking brand new motorcycle.
Yeah.
2026 or 2025 and up.
Yeah.
Top 5 things that you would buy, you would put on that bike to improve its ability for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, granted, neither one of us have ridden a 25 or newer bike.
No. But this would be like the top 5 things we would change probably no matter what.
Even when you sit on it.
Yeah, not
in
even
the
top
store,
5 models.
You're like, I'd change this.
Yeah.
I'd change this.
Yeah.
And it's not because we don't like it, because it's a great bike out of the hop. But there's 5 things I would probably change on every motorcycle just for me. And we'll bring that to you next week. So, get us out of here, man. We've talked enough.
That's all for today's conversation, guys. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe. We're still trying to grow this channel, and we just enjoy doing it, and we're hoping y'all enjoy growing with us. If you're looking at us, you've already found us on YouTube, but don't forget we're on everywhere else you can get your podcasts. Be watching on the YouTube side for that install video. Like Dad said, it's not going to be long. There's a million other people that go way more in depth on a exhaust install. We just wanted to show you our little journey of it, because we're not master Harley mechanics, but we can work on our own stuff, you know. And then don't forget to be looking for us on social media. We're Bikers and Backroads on Instagram and TikTok. On X, we're B&B_pod. So be checking us out there, and y'all just be ready. And if you're anything like us, we know you're looking forward to the warmer weather coming in. And that's all for today. So we'll holler at y'all later.
It's supposed to be 50-some degrees tomorrow and sunny. I might get a little ride while you're out there working in real world. But you guys be safe and stay blessed. We'll see you next time.